High school graduation. It's a weird time in your life. As much as people say they can't wait to graduate high school and start college, even they often feel a little sad when the time comes around. Your friends you've known for years are branching out and going places, and everyone is at an uncertain yet exciting part of their lives. The same can likely be said for 18-year-old Lauren Astley. She was looking forward to going to college in North Carolina. Musically gifted, having a stage presence that made her a natural, and a personality that made her instantly likable, Lauren was as ready as she could be to start this new chapter of her life. She was having a great time with her friends, going to graduation parties and working at a clothing store. But when she went missing on a regular Sunday, right after leaving work, everyone was confused. Where was Lauren? Was she in trouble? What happened to her? Well, all of those questions would come back to haunt everyone, including the police, when her lifeless body was found in a marsh. Welcome to True Crime Stories. If you're new here, I'm your host, Ty Knotts, and I post new true crime documentaries every single week. So if you prefer your true crime from the mouth of a real person rather than an AI bot, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything, and it just keeps you up to date with my latest videos. Lauren Dunn Astley was born on April 1st, 1993, to parents Mary and Malcolm Astley in Boston, Massachusetts. She lived in Wayland with her family, and the family of three was small, but they were full of love. At a young age, Lauren's parents called it quits on their marriage, but Lauren's parents, who were both teachers, never let their problems affect their daughter in any way. And you can tell that even though Mary and Malcolm had their differences as a couple, as parents, they still worked well together. Lauren was the living proof of that. Lauren was defined as fearless and sassy, and she attended Wayland High School and graduated in 2011. Lauren was a great student, but she also participated in extracurricular activities. Whether it be playing tennis, camping, or studying the French horn, Lauren put all of her eggs in different baskets. She also had an amazing voice. You know those people that are just kind of born to sing? Well, Lauren was one of them. She was part of Muses, an a cappella group, and she also played a bunch of instruments, and on top of that, she participated in the Metro West South Youth Symphony Orchestra. By 2006, Lauren tried her luck with theater too, and she bagged the leading role in Annie at the Weston Friendly Society of the Performing Arts. Outside of theater and whatnot, Lauren also loved the outdoors, and camping was one of her favorite activities. Lauren was the perfect mix of outdoorsy and girly. And I mean, sure, she loved being outdoors, but she also loved fashion, clothes, and accessories just as much as the next person. Lauren's friends described her as loyal, smart, funny, and incredibly talented. But before she even got a chance to spread her wings and experience her life at college, that very life would be stolen from her. Lauren had a shift at work on July 3rd, 2011. She worked at a clothing store at her local mall, so she got dressed and left for work. She was seen on CCTV entering the mall and going to work. And after work, though, she had some plans to meet up with some friends, and after that, she was meeting up with her dad. Since Lauren's parents were separated, Lauren spent half of her time with her mom and the other half with her dad. And on this particular day, she had plans to stay over at her dad Malcolm's. But Lauren never showed up. Initially, Mary and Malcolm weren't too worried. They thought that Lauren was with her friends, and maybe she just lost track of time. But imagine their shock when they were contacted by Lauren's friends, and they hadn't seen her either. Now, this was when everyone started to panic. This was unlike Lauren. She had plans post-work, so where could she be? She was never the type of person to be late, and even if she was, she'd let people know so that they wouldn't worry. But now, Lauren had disappeared. She wasn't answering her phone, and everyone was unsettled. But then, one of Lauren's friends saw her car parked at the beach, and this caused Mary to make a beeline for that exact spot, and she searched for Lauren for hours, but there was no sign of her. Simultaneously, Malcolm called the police, and 18-year-old Lauren Astley was reported missing. The day turned into night, and before anyone knew it, July 4th rolled around, and within 12 hours of Lauren's disappearance, someone called the police, notifying them of a terrible discovery. See, a cyclist was passing by a marsh when he saw something sticking out of the muddy water. This person wasted no time in calling the police, who arrived at the scene, dreading the absolute worst. Since Lauren was missing, and now something had been discovered, the investigators had a bad feeling. Unfortunately, that bad feeling took shape. A woman's lifeless body was recovered from the marsh, and it was clear that the assailant drove the woman into the hands of death with their bare hands. The body was immediately taken for an autopsy, and this next part is just heartbreaking. Even though the woman hadn't been identified yet, Malcolm was called into the coroner's office to identify the body. And sadly, it was Malcolm who recognized the body as his only daughter, 18-year-old Lauren, who was alive and well just hours ago. It's so devastating and awful for a father or a parent in general to be put through something like this. I mean, losing a child is bad enough, but being the one to identify them after the fact, that's something else entirely. The news of Lauren's brutal and sudden passing spread like wildfire. Everyone in the community knew Lauren, and when they learned about her passing, it was just a punch to the gut. Malcolm and Mary had lost their only child. It was as if some sort of dark cloud had found the Astley family and latched onto their lives, like you can't breathe even though your lungs are filling with air. It's a feeling like no other, and the detectives were just as shocked by this discovery. But they needed answers. Who could have attacked Lauren so brutally, and why? Well, the police turned to Lauren's family and friends for any clues. Did Lauren have any enemies? Who would want someone so caring and kind like Lauren out of the picture? Well, it didn't take detectives long at all to narrow in on their main suspect. As investigators were uncovering all the details of Lauren's life, one name kept popping up: Nathan Fujita. Nathan and Lauren had met in high school, and they became friends almost instantly. Nathan was the quintessential high school football star. He was a popular jock and an attractive and charming guy. Nathan was the guy everyone wanted to be friends with because he was one of the cool kids. Nathan soon crossed paths with Lauren, and the rest was history. They were like the perfect high school couple, like prom king and queen perfect. All the other teenagers at the school gushed over Lauren and Nathan's relationship. A popular football player and a beautiful, talented, musically gifted, and smart young woman, it was like it was from the movies. Their relationship was okay in the beginning, and they dated for a little over a year, about 18 months to be exact. But just like any other young and unpredictable high school relationship, the butterflies soon faded away. The couple had their fair share of fights, mainly because Nathan was jealous of anyone who even looked at Lauren. Their relationship could only be defined as on and off again because they fought a lot, which always ends up with the two breaking up and then getting back together again. Even though Lauren initially really liked Nathan, her friends didn't share this same sentiment. They thought that Nathan was too controlling and possessive and was not above isolating Lauren from her friends and even her family, which is downright bizarre. Nathan wanted all of Lauren's time and attention. He would even get angry if Lauren had plans with her friends or family and he wasn't included. Over time, the relationship got too stuffy for Lauren, and she didn't want Nathan to stop her from experiencing all the amazing things in life just because he was jealous and wanted all of her time. Besides, Nathan was accepted at Trinity College, where he also got a football scholarship, so it was inevitable that the couple had to go their separate ways at some point. They were just prolonging this inevitable. So Lauren knew that it would be best for both of them to just break up and move on, and that was exactly what she did. She permanently broke things off with Nathan and thought that it would be the end of everything. Now, this wasn't easy for Lauren either, but she knew that it was for the best. But Nathan didn't get the message. Lauren breaking up with him, for real this time, was an unexpected blow, and Nathan wasn't ready to accept that. And sadly, this was when he started to make her life difficult. Lauren's friends threw her a big summer party before she went to college, but all the fun deflated when Nathan showed up at that party, clearly intoxicated, and tried to talk to Lauren, harassing her and essentially scaring off everyone close to her. Lauren was sick of Nathan's behavior. She'd dealt with enough of this when they were dating, and she was not about to let it ruin her final amazing days before she went off to college. So Lauren demanded that Nathan leave the party. Nathan then turned around to leave, but not before almost knocking a tent down with his fist. Nathan was just so angry that Lauren wasn't as miserable as he was following the breakup, and that she was having the time of her life, not missing him at all. In Nathan's mind, Lauren wasn't allowed to live her life happily ever after when leaving him behind in the dust. And Lauren even confided in her mom after this whole disaster and said that Nathan wouldn't leave her alone. Mary felt so helpless in this situation. She didn't want Lauren to lose sleep over a boy who couldn't take the breakup well. But there was nothing she could do besides comfort her daughter. A lot of mutual friends of Nathan and Lauren's came forward and told the detectives that Nathan was very closed off, emotional, and depressed after the breakup. He wasn't even passionate about football anymore, and he was just a shell of the person that he used to be. They also said that Nathan started to abuse alcohol and substances as a way to cope with the breakup. The police knew that they had to talk to Nathan, but before that they checked Lauren's phone, and in it they were able to see who Lauren met and where she was after she left work. See, CCTV footage showed Lauren leaving the mall at about 6:45 p.m., and the officers could see that she was talking to someone on the phone. When they checked the phone records, they were stunned to see that it was none other than Nathan who Lauren was talking to. Text messages between Lauren and Nathan also showed that they met up after her shift at the clothing store on the same day that she went missing. So the detectives now knew that Nathan, the miserable ex-boyfriend, was most likely the last person to see Lauren alive. Texts between the two were also very bizarre. Nathan was being his usual pushy self, trying to persuade Lauren to get back together with him, whereas Lauren was genuinely worried for Nathan as she also got to know about his downward spiral following the breakup. One of Nathan's messages read, quote, "I truly think there's a part of you that still loves me. You just have to let me find it." Well, on July 3rd at around 7:45 p.m., Nathan and Lauren decided to meet at Nathan's house. And sadly, the last message from Lauren to Nathan was that she was outside of his home. So the investigators knew for sure that Nathan met up with Lauren. But could that be his way of luring Lauren into a death trap? The only way the detectives could find things out was by talking to the guy himself. On the same day, July 4th, the police made their way to Nathan's home, which was surprisingly about 7 to 8 miles from the marsh where Lauren's body was found. But Nathan was nowhere to be found. His parents didn't know where he was, and they were worried for him, so in the meantime, the house was searched by the police. As soon as the detectives stepped foot in the garage, they knew that something horrific had happened there. Bungee cords were hanging on one wall of the garage, and they matched the same cord that was found with Lauren's body. Also, there were red spots on the floor of the garage, which were later confirmed to be Lauren's blood. And the police also found muddy and wet shoes inside of a gym bag tucked away out of sight, and those belonged to Nathan. With all of this evidence, the detectives knew that they were standing in front of the crime scene, and that Nathan was most definitely the one who launched a vicious attack on Lauren and had successfully taken her life. But now, the police had another job on their hands, and that was to track Nathan down. It didn't take detectives long at all to find Nathan. He was tracked down at his aunt's house, and just 2 days into Lauren's disappearance and chilling murder, 18-year-old Nathan Fujita was arrested for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Lauren Astley. Almost a month later, on August 23rd, he pleaded not guilty to the charges of first-degree murder and to 2 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. He was held without bail until the trial began on February 13th of 2013, almost 2 years after the harrowing attack on Lauren. Prosecutors presented more and more evidence, and they went into great detail about how Lauren was attacked. So what had happened was that Nathan had successfully managed to persuade Lauren to meet him at his house, and Lauren, being the caring but naive person she was, went to check up on him because she genuinely thought that he wasn't doing well following the breakup. In reality, Nathan knew how to bend Lauren to his will, and he took advantage of her compassionate and empathetic nature. When Lauren reached Nathan's home, he led her into the garage with a single and chilling intention: to end her life, and that was tragically what he ended up doing. He brutally attacked her with a sharp object and ultimately stole the life of his ex-girlfriend. It was clear from the autopsy report that Lauren fought with everything she had and suffered multiple defensive wounds. Also, this is a side note, Lauren was very petite, whereas Nathan was much taller, stronger, and athletically built. So this adds a very eerie layer to this entire case. She was totally and completely defenseless against him. I can't imagine what Lauren must have felt in her final moments, being overpowered by someone who has advantage over her in every way and is fueled by hatred and blinding anger. It's so haunting to think about in hindsight. But after the animalistic deed, he took Lauren's car, abandoned it in a parking lot, and got rid of the keys. He then loaded Lauren's lifeless body into his car and dumped it miles away from his home in a remote, marshy area. A witness also saw Nathan driving back from the marsh to his home, shirtless and blasting music in his car. Nathan even tried his best to clean up the crime scene, but I don't really see how. I mean, the guy just left all the evidence in his parents' garage, So what he claims to have cleaned up, I have no idea. But at the trial, the defense aimed for an insanity plea. They weren't denying that Nathan was the one who ended Lauren's life, but they argued that Nathan was having a psychotic episode when he attacked Lauren. The reason why they went down this route was because the Fujitas had a familial history of schizophrenia and depression, and they claimed that Nathan was in the midst of an out-of-body experience during the attack, and he seemingly didn't know what he was doing. With this plea, the defense was hoping for a lesser sentence, but the prosecution came forward with their counter-arguments. The state believed that Nathan was completely coherent when he attacked Lauren because he not only lured her into his home, but also proceeded to clean up the crime scene and even get rid of evidence. This, to the prosecution, was clear that Nathan was a cold and calculated murderer, and not a mentally unstable and miserable man who killed Lauren in a haze of confusion. It was a crime of unadulterated rage. Nevertheless, before long, the verdict was out. After the arguments, the jury deliberated for one day, and on March 7th of 2014, the verdict was out. Nathan was found guilty of all charges, and he was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. And instead of going to college, taking courses, and playing football, Nathan was going to be behind bars, staring at prison walls for the rest of his life. Following Nathan's sentencing, the Ashley family was relieved that their daughter's murderer was finally getting punished, but it was bittersweet for everyone. Two young kids who had so much to look forward to had their lives ruined, all because one of them couldn't bear to see the other happy, free, and single. Mary and Malcolm were crushed after their daughter's unfortunate and sudden passing, but they knew that the Fujita family had lost their son too. This was why, during a moment of empathy for the Fujitas, when Nathan was found guilty and was sentenced, Malcolm went up to Nathan's father and hugged him. It was such a moving moment for everyone in court. A grieving family who just lost their only daughter and was reeling from unimaginable sadness was comforting another parent, that too, the parent of the child who killed their child. Nothing could ever bring the dazzling Lauren back, but Mary and Malcolm didn't stop being good and empathetic people even after what they endured. During the closing statements at the trial, Mary said that she would never get to hear Lauren call her mom ever again, and that statement is what shattered everyone. But Mary and Malcolm put their grief and sorrow into Lauren's legacy, and they established the Lauren Astley Memorial Fund. It's a nonprofit charitable organization that creates awareness among teenagers about how to cope with breakups and not resort to violence. Mary and Malcolm have done countless seminars, programs, and group talks, not only teaching teens about the hidden red flags in a relationship, but also educating them on how to cope with breakups. Moreover, the fund aims to educate and provide help for teens or anyone who has violent tendencies to act or lash out after a breakup. It's so interesting and admirable that Mary and Malcolm are trying not only to teach people how to be safe and find alarming signs in a relationship, but also coach those troubled teens who have latent violent tendencies so that they don't act on them and ruin their lives and maybe someone else's too. Lauren did go to see Nathan, and it was something that neither her parents nor friends knew about. If they did, then they likely could have done something to stop this unfortunate fate that Lauren met. But that doesn't make it her fault or anything like that. She was just trying to help things blow over. This is why Mary personally advises anyone and everyone in a troubling relationship to never go confront your significant other alone. Relationships, especially if they're your first, can be confusing. You don't really have a manual on how to gauge certain reactions, what's right and what's not. So the Lauren Astley Memorial Fund is a great way to understand the different signs of a relationship in a healthy, growing, and safe environment. This case was just so heavy. Lauren was young, vibrant, and had every reason to live a happy and fulfilling life. But Nathan just couldn't bear the fact that Lauren wasn't as miserable as he was after their breakup, and this led it to completely ruin the Astley family forever. There are just so many cases where victims, regardless of their gender, are subjected to violence either during their dating phase or especially after breakups. And yes, breakups are hard, and you might never want a relationship to end, but sometimes it happens, either out of necessity or some other reason. But that doesn't mean we just get to lash out at others, and certainly not like this. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of True Crime Stories. I wanted to give a special thank you to a couple channel members, including Abi Arredondo and Malika Malazzi. If you also want to become a member of the channel, you'll gain access to new videos sometimes days or weeks before they're uploaded to the public, and it is a great way to support the channel and help out. And I really appreciate those of you that have decided to do that. So if you want to join, you can click that big join button below the video, or find the link down in the description. And don't forget, True Crime Stories t-shirts are also available. You can grab one of those from the link down in the description as well. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, check out this other interesting case I covered, and don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free and just keeps you up to date with all my future videos. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.